Today it's my review of the brand new release from Moultrie Mobile. It's their Edge Pro. Now this camera may have more features than any other camera I've ever tested. It has features like false trigger elimination, where you can go in and deselect different zones in the PIR sensor to virtually eliminate false triggers. It also has smart capture, where it uses AI technology to only send photos to the app of the things that you choose. This camera also has live aim and many other features. I'm not only going to talk about these features, I'm going to show you real-world testing right here on my farm. My goal is to give you the most comprehensive review available. So today it's my review of the Moultrie Mobile Edge Pro. The Moultrie Edge Pro is the newest release from Moultrie, and it does feature that false trigger elimination. It auto connects to all 4 major networks in the US. In other words, no matter where you place this camera, it'll find the best signal for the area. There is no SD card required. It has built-in memory. This eliminates many of the problems associated with different SD cards. This camera also features a live aim setup. That means when you're setting up this camera, you can get a live view on your app to get that perfect setup the first time, every time. This camera also has improved battery life. It'll run on either 8 or 16 AA batteries, and there's also an optional lithium battery pack to power this camera. So the first feature that I wanted to highlight is the live aim. In fact, this will probably be one of the first things you're going to appreciate about this camera. After you initialize the camera and have it set up for the first time, you simply turn the camera on, and then you're going to press and hold the live aim button for 3 seconds. After you've held that button for 3 seconds, you're going to get a blinking blue light. Next, you can bring up your Moultrie app and select the camera. Right near the top is the mount aim button. You can do live aim. When you press on that, it's going to give you a couple of steps. We're going to click through to the next. Gives you some hints on how to do this. Click next for the last time, and it's telling you you should see the blinking blue light. At this point, the blinking blue light's going to turn solid blue, and you're going to get a live view right here on your screen of exactly what's happening in front of the camera. At this point, you can walk out in front of your camera. You can come back and adjust the height up and down, side to side, and you can get that perfect view using this live aim feature. The next feature and technology that's wrapped up in this camera that I wanted to discuss and test is false trigger elimination. The idea behind this is if there's something that's causing a false trigger, like a blowing branch or grass, you can go into the PIR settings and block out the area that's causing the false triggers. You could be 1,000 miles away from your camera, start getting false triggers, open up the app and simply block out the area that's causing the trouble. The camera will continue to operate in the sections that you don't black out. Now this sounds like an awesome feature. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but I haven't seen anybody test it. Let's test the false trigger elimination system. So for the HuntingFarmer test, I'm going to need a branch. I'm going to need something to make the branch blow. I'm going to need a power unit to make the branch blow. I'm going to need a heat source. Now this is definitely a HuntingFarmer conglomeration, but I took this branch and attached it to a motor that's going to spin this branch and simulate movement. I attached this motor to a power unit and I set it in front of the camera. Now you might not realize, but a moving branch without some sort of heat source may not trigger your camera. Many times if you're getting false triggers, it's because of the sunlight shining through the branches or the grass that's blowing in front of your camera. To simulate a heat source, I'm taking hot hands and attaching it to my moving branch. This heat source attached to my moving branch, in theory, should continually trigger this camera. Let's see what happens. Now that my camera's been sending me notifications, there's something moving in front of my camera. Of course, it's my blowing branch. I'm going to go into the settings and see if I can eliminate this false trigger. So I'm going to click on the settings icon for that camera. I'm going to go into the smart zone sections and click the edit button. It's going to give me a quick tutorial on how this works and how I can block out certain zones. I'm going to click continue and it'll bring up a picture of what that camera has seen. If it's not the most recent, maybe you have moved locations or something, you can click update example photo. It'll then bring up different example photos. You want to click on the newest one and select photo. Now you can see where you want to black out the zones so it doesn't trigger in those zones. I'm simply going to click the left-hand side here and see if we can eliminate these false triggers. I'm going to press Save Zones, and now let's see if this camera continues to false trigger because of the blowing branch. So the false trigger elimination worked. Once I blacked out those zones on the side of the camera that my blowing branch was on, I quit receiving notifications. I look in my gallery and the camera quit taking photos. Now the true test is, what if I walk past? Is it still going to capture me, or did it turn off all the PIR sensor? So next, with that still running, I'm going to walk past. So I'm impressed with this feature. It worked great in my testing. You know the helpless feeling when you have your camera at a remote location on a windy day. All of a sudden you start receiving hundreds of notifications. You're not only eating up battery, but you're taking up data. Now you can simply open up the app and black out the areas that's causing the false triggers. At any time, you can go back in and edit or eliminate any of those blacked out blocks in the PIR section. Maybe the wind quit blowing and you want the full PIR sensor again. Simply go back in and eliminate any of those blacked out sections. This is a great feature that's not only going to save your data, it's going to save your batteries. So the next feature that the Edge Pro offers that I want to test is the Smart Capture. Now the Smart Capture mode uses artificial intelligence to tell the camera what photos to send to your app. Now you can select what you want the camera to take photos of. You can select one object or multiple objects. For instance, if you're using this as a security camera and you only want the camera to send photos of persons or vehicles, you can simply go into the Smart Capture feature in the app and select persons or vehicles. You can select one or both, and the camera will only upload photos to the app of persons and vehicles. This can give a considerable savings for your battery and your data plan. Your camera will not upload photos or videos of any other thing except what you have selected in the Smart Capture. Now imagine you're going to place your camera over a feeder or a bait station on your property and you only want to see photos of buck. The camera will not upload any photos of doe or raccoons or squirrels or maybe thousands of other pictures that the camera may take. This again will be a considerable savings to the batteries because it does not have to upload any other photo to the app. So the Smart Capture with the Edge Pro will definitely save on batteries. But I want to test how well will it work. So to start my testing, I selected vehicle only. So in the Smart Capture, I selected vehicle. Now I'm going to drive my farm truck past the camera. This should trigger the camera and upload that photo to the app. The Smart Capture on vehicle mode worked exactly as it was advertised, and it did upload the 3-photo burst to the app. To further test the Smart Capture, I next walked in front of the camera. In theory, the camera should not upload any photos of a person since I only have vehicle selected. I stood directly in front of the camera. In fact, I waved my arms back and forth, and the camera did not upload any photos of me in front of the camera. So now I was curious, what would the camera's Smart Capture do if I drove my golf cart past the camera? I again still have vehicle selected. When I drove the golf cart past the camera, it did not upload any photos to the app. So it did not recognize my golf cart as a vehicle when I had it on vehicle mode. Now my next test involved my buck decoy. I deselected vehicle and selected buck only. Now with my buck decoy, if you'll remember back to my false trigger test, it not only takes motion, but heat and motion. Now I was going to carry my decoy in front of the camera. I would be the heat source, and I wanted to see if the camera's going to recognize the buck decoy as a buck. The camera did indeed upload the 3-photo burst to the app, so the AI feature worked with me carrying my buck decoy. Next, I took the horns off my decoy and again walked in front of the camera, this time carrying the decoy looking like a doe. The smart capture did not recognize the decoy as a buck, so it did not upload any photos to the app. The last portion of this test, I only put one of the antlers back on my decoy. Once again, carried it in front of the camera. This time, the camera did not recognize my half-rack buck as a buck, and it did not upload any photos to the app. So we're closing in on my final thoughts. That's where I'll give you the pros and cons as I see it after using several of these cameras for more than 3 months. But before we get to that, I want to give you some preview of the app, what it looks like, some of my thoughts about it, and I also want to discuss the plans and the costs for those plans that are available through Moultrie. So when you open up the app, you're in the gallery as default, and you also can view all of your Moultrie cameras at the same time in the same gallery. Of course, you can set your preferences if you only want to look at certain cameras. Gallery, you can do that through the app. But you can scroll through here and you can see that I run a lot of my cameras on video mode. That's my personal preference. Of course, I have a YouTube channel, so I want videos from my Moultrie cameras. They can deliver up to a 15-second video. If you click on the M down in the bottom of the app, it brings up a whole list of features that are available through the Moultrie app. You could click on maps and it'll give you a location of each of your Moultrie cameras. You can click on activity and it's going to give you the peak activities of the movement in front of your cameras, broke down into the time of day, the temperature, moon phase, and a lot of other information here. If you click the M again, you can bring up the weather and it'll actually list the weather in your area. It'll also give you the sunrise time and the sunset time and much more information right here through the app. And the last feature is brand new. It's called Game Plan, and although I haven't played around with it a lot, plenty more information available here. These cameras are getting smarter and smarter, and the amount of information that you can gather from them is downright staggering. This adds just one more tool to your toolbox that you can gain with your Moultrie camera. Back out at the gallery, and I wanted to touch on one more thing, and that is the thumbnails that are sent. Again, I run my cameras on video mode, but this is the thumbnail that was sent, and I'm impressed with the clarity of just the standard thumbnail that's sent through the app. Now, of course, you can request the HD version of the photo or video, but just the standard thumbnail is pretty impressive. You can clearly zoom in and see what's going on. I know with some other manufacturers, the thumbnail can be so grainy, it's honestly hard to make out if it's a buck or a doe. I've been impressed with the Moultrie thumbnails that are standard in the app. The last thing I wanted to touch on is the monthly plans. They do offer several different price points or several different options available. They have an unlimited plan for $16.99. As you can see here, you get 50 videos per month and unlimited photos per month. The standard plan is a little more affordable. It's $9.99 per month. As you can see, you get 1,000 images and 10 videos per month. Now click over here to if you get billed annually, you can bring those prices down to as low as $8.99 a month if you prepay for up to a year at a time. So next I'm going to show you some sample videos. As I mentioned, I run it on video mode. I have hundreds of videos from these cameras over the past 3 months. I'll show you a sampling of them, both daytime and nighttime. You can see exactly what type of quality you can expect. Also take note of the audio that's included with the video. That's important to me, so you can judge for yourself how good you think the audio is. And then as soon as these samples are done, I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So it is time for my final thoughts, the pros and cons as I see it after actually using these cameras. I'm going to start out with the pros. This camera is impressive with the amount of technology it has. As I said in the beginning, it probably has more technology wrapped up in this camera than any other cell camera out there. I was impressed with that false trigger elimination system. As you saw in my demonstration, it worked exactly as it was advertised, and to me this is groundbreaking. False triggers are one of the most annoying things when you're operating trail cameras. That's only compounded when it's a sight or trail camera. Not only is it eating up your batteries as it's false triggering, but you're also eating away at your data plan or the amount of photos that are available. And unless you're running an unlimited plan, that could be a big problem. Moultrie's FTE system, big thumbs up for me. Another positive for me was the video and photo quality. I showed you in some of my testing high resolution photos that I got from the cameras, but I operated the cameras a lot on video mode and I was impressed with the videos both daytime and nighttime. The other impressive thing about the videos is they have excellent audio. Audio is important to me because I believe it helps tell the complete story. If you have a video with good audio, you can hear exactly what's going on. If there's ambient noise or if the animal's walking or maybe a deer grunts in front of your camera, I want to hear that, and the Moultries have good microphones on these cameras. I already mentioned it, but I like the app that Moultrie gives. Has a ton of information. They're adding more features all the time. I like the quality of their thumbnails. That's important to me. Without having to necessarily request the HD version, you get a really good idea with just the standard thumbnail. Another positive is the camera's design. Of course, the iconic camo pattern, but I also like that you can operate this camera on 8, 16 batteries, depending on how much longevity you're looking to get. They also sell that optional lithium battery pack, and of course there's solar panels available through Moultrie that's going to operate this camera 24/7, 365 if that's what your needs are. I have more testing coming up in the future for the solar panels and that lithium battery pack, not to mention the flex mount that's available for this camera. But I want to conclude with the cons, maybe some things that I would change if I could with this camera. Well, one of my complaints with the Moultrie Edge in the past, I've been pretty vocal about it, was that built-in SD card. Now, it is designed as a positive. You don't have to buy an SD card. In fact, there's no place to put an SD card. It eliminates many problems and formatting issues that may come with an SD card. I was just always disappointed that there's no USB port that you could hook up to your computer or laptop and easily download those photos and videos. You have to go through the Moultrie app, and of course I make YouTube videos, so I need to download sometimes hundreds of videos to my computer, and that can be cumbersome because it has that built-in memory and no USB port. Now again, I can understand why they made it that it has a built-in memory. For many people that's a positive, not to mention that somebody can't open up your camera and steal your SD card. So I'm going to refrain from even calling that a con on the new Moultrie Edge Pro. Something minor that did come to mind was the mode in which you set the camera up. It has photo mode or photo plus video mode, or maybe they call it pic plus video. Now, the reason I would consider that a con, the pic plus video mode, in my opinion, really isn't a picture followed by a video like many other manufacturers. In fact, I do not believe you could download that picture when you have it on pic and video mode. So let's say that thumbnail that you see when you have it on pic and video mode, you want to download a high resolution picture because it's picture and video mode. There is no option for that, so it's not, in my opinion, a true picture followed by video. And maybe somebody can correct me, but I believe picture plus video mode is simply video mode. So pretty minor complaint in the grand scheme of things. The only other thing that comes to mind is with any of this type of technology, it will not always be perfect. And as you saw in my smart capture test, It wasn't batting 100% on that animal identification. That half rack slipped past it. It thought it was a doe. Maybe it was just a complication with meat carrying the decoy. If you expect the camera to get it right every single time, you may be a bit disappointed, but keep in mind they have came a long way using this artificial intelligence and identifying different animals. Just give it a little bit of grace as this technology catches up with these cameras. So those were my final thoughts. Overall, an excellent camera. I've had nothing but good things to say about it. It has performed flawlessly. I've had zero issues with these cameras. Been impressed with all those features that are available, plus the quality of the photos and videos, and I like that good audio. Now I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Have you bought one of these cameras and what has been your experience? Do you have questions about it? Maybe something that I missed or totally skipped over? Please put your questions and comments down in the comment section. I'd love to hear your questions or suggestions for future videos. Maybe you have some constructive criticism or maybe even some encouragement for a job well done. I want to give as much comprehensive information about this camera, and I want to do some real world testing on those features, and I think I delivered that and hopefully can give you some useful information. I have plenty more videos about Moultrie products and some more testing for those solar panels coming up. But until then, I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.